Chapter 1 The God of Longing. Malam Tanemu was a man shaped by the dust of the savannah and the hard-won bounty of his farm. His life in the small Hausa village of Kwanhila was simple, defined by the dry and wet seasons, yet his heart harbored a magnificent, dangerous secret. He was desperately in love with Aisha, the young, graceful fourth wife of the village chief, Alhaji Bawa. Alhaji Bawa, a man of imposing wealth and age, kept Aisha cloistered, her beauty visible only through the distant windows of his expansive compound. Tanemu knew his longing was scandalous, a dream as unattainable as the clouds. One blazing afternoon, while digging a new irrigation channel near an ancient, abandoned shrine outside the village perimeter, Tanemu's hoe struck something solid. He unearthed a dull, intricately carved wooden god, bound with leather tongues that crumbled to ash when exposed to the harsh light. As he wiped the earth from its surface, a plume of thick, yellow-green smoke erupted, smelling faintly of sandalwood and the distant sea. The smoke coalesced into a figure of towering height and shimmering robes, a jinn. The spirit's voice resonated in Tanemu's mind, low and profound, promising liberation in exchange for granting 3 wishes to his rescuer. Tanemu stood paralyzed, holding the empty god, his secret desire suddenly feeling terrifyingly close to reality. His mind flashed instantly to Aisha. He clutched the god and began the slow walk back to his small home, his fate now hanging heavy in his hand. Chapter 2 The First Wish. The jinn, which introduced itself as Malik, stood patiently beside Tanemu's thatched hut, shimmering slightly in the moonlight like heat haze over the desert road. Tanemu had spent the entire evening pacing, his conscience battling his lust. He knew what he should wish for, a perpetual harvest, rain during the dry season, or perhaps health for his aging mother. But the image of Aisha's serene face kept eclipsing every moral thought. He desperately needed a way to penetrate the chief's fortress of entitlement and wealth. His own humble strength was not enough, he needed a power that transcended social standing. Finally, Tanemu dropped his gaze and addressed the spirit. "Malik," he said, his voice barely a tremor above a whisper. "I have only 2 desires in this life, to be seen, and to be loved by the one I see. My first wish is this: I wish to be the most irresistibly charming, handsome man in Kwanhila, possessed of a beauty and grace so profound that every woman who lays eyes on me, including Aisha, is captivated and compelled to know me." Malik nodded slowly, a deep rumble echoing from his form. The jinn did not question the self-serving nature of the wish. With a blinding flash of golden light that startled the nocturnal lizards, Tanemu felt a profound, painful shift in his very essence. His plain cotton garments seemed instantly richer, his calloused hands seemed more refined, and the deep worry lines etched into his forehead smoothed away. When he caught his reflection in a basin of water, he was stunned. The man staring back was magnificent, radiating an aura of compelling, intoxicating allure. Malik spoke again, 1 wish granted. 2 remain. Chapter 3 The Charm's Curse. The transformation was immediate and unsettling. Tanemu, the man who used to walk the dusty paths unnoticed, now caused a palpable stir wherever he went. Women who had previously offered only polite nods now greeted him with wide, brazen smiles and lingering gazes. The wives of merchants, elders, and farmers alike suddenly found reasons to pass by his modest plot of land, dropping off gifts of food or offering unneeded help with his crops. The scent of his new, magical charm preceded him, turning simple chores into chaotic, flattering disturbances. The scandal spread through Kwanhila like wildfire. The wives of his neighbors began arguing with their husbands, demanding more attention, lamenting their partner's comparative dullness. Tanemu tried to conduct his business, but the constant attention made concentration impossible. He realized that irresistible charm, while powerful, was a social prison. The curse, however, became secondary when he finally saw Aisha. While fetching water at the public well, Aisha, accompanied by her chief's guards, paused. Her eyes met Tanemu's, and for a fleeting moment, her guarded expression dissolved into one of pure, undeniable fascination. The guards quickly hurried her away, but the damage was done. Alhaji Bawa, already hearing whispers about the miraculously handsome farmer, had witnessed the exchange from a distance. The chief's face, usually placid, contorted into a mask of pure, molten jealousy. He immediately doubled Aisha's seclusion, banning her from leaving the compound walls, turning Tanamu's powerful wish into a frustrating, tantalizing torment. Chapter 4: The Obstacle Remains. Tanamu's life was now a constant performance for an audience of captivated, distracted women, yet the sole object of his desire remained unreachable. The chief, Alhaji Bawa, had reacted with swift, draconian measures. Aisha was not merely confined, the high walls of the chief's sprawling compound were patrolled day and night. Tanamu learned that Alhaji Bawa was not just jealous, he was deeply protective of the secrets the young bride symbolized. The charm worked perfectly on Aisha, but it was useless against walls, locks, and armed guards. The chief was the ultimate, physical barrier to Tanamu's goal. The farmer's longing morphed into bitter resentment. He paced in his hut, listening to the genie's silent presence. His farm suffered. The constant stream of hopeful women offering food or conversation meant his true work, the planting and tending of crops, was neglected. He had wished for beauty, and now he was too famous to farm. He was magnificent, but starving. He needed a clean, definitive way to eliminate the obstacle, a way that would not implicate him in any earthly crime. Tanamu realized that the only way to claim the chief's wife was for the chief to be completely and permanently removed from the picture, without scandal, without violence, and without leaving a trail of evidence. He decided the time for the second wish had arrived, a wish for disappearance, for total nullification of his rival. He sought the cool darkness inside his hut and carefully lifted the antique god. Chapter 5: The Second Wish. Malik, Tanamu intoned, his voice shaking with a mix of dread and anticipation. I have realized that even with the greatest charm, I cannot approach the woman I love while her husband lives. The chief's protection is absolute. Therefore, my second wish is that Alhaji Bawa, the chief of Konhila, shall suddenly and mysteriously vanish from this world, leaving behind no body, no evidence, and no trace of his existence. He must simply be gone. The genie's form paused with a dark, oily light this time. A grave request, Tanamu. It is done. The very next morning, the village was thrown into upheaval. Alhaji Bawa was gone. Not vanished in a puff of smoke, but gone in a far more shocking, and scandalously complex, way. His head wife, peering into his empty royal chamber, discovered a small, locked metal chest hidden beneath the floorboards, something no one knew existed. When opened, it did not contain gold or jewels, but a set of official, wax-sealed documents from a distant, powerful sultanate in the north. The papers revealed that Alhaji Bawa was not the true chief of Konhila, but a disgraced prince, a fugitive hiding under a false name. The papers further revealed that Bawa's marriage to Aisha was an essential political maneuver. Aisha herself was a noblewoman of that sultanate, placed in a nominal marriage to Bawa to ensure a secret truce was upheld. With Bawa vanished, the truce was broken, and the documents decreed that Aisha must immediately be married to the highest-ranking, single, landowning male in the village to prevent the sultanate from claiming Konhila outright. That person, of course, was Malam Tanamu. Chapter 6: The Scandalous Claim. The revelation that their esteemed chief was an exiled impostor sent the village into a spiral of disbelief and gossip. The scandal surpassed anything Tanamu could have imagined. Alhaji Bawa's servants whispered that he had fled in the night, perhaps fearing exposure from his northern rivals. The discovery stripped him of his authority and legitimacy, nullifying his marriage to Aisha in the eyes of the Sultanate's archaic pact. The elders, terrified of intervention from the powerful north, had no choice but to follow the decree left in the chest. Tanamu, the farmer who had wished for a rival's disappearance, was now not just the most handsome man, but the decreed husband of the beautiful Aisha. He had achieved his goal, but through a labyrinth of geopolitical secrets, not mere desire. The marriage was arranged with astonishing speed, a quiet affair intended to stabilize the community. Aisha was led to Tanemu's modest hut. His heart pounded, he had won. He was seated next to her, the final rituals complete, the goal of his scandalous longing achieved. But as he looked at her, truly looked at his new wife, he noticed the cold, distant despair in her eyes. The charm that compelled her attention, Tanemu realized, had not commanded her heart. She was his wife by decree, drawn to him by magic, but her soul was elsewhere. Aisha, my love, he whispered, his new handsome features crinkling with worry. She simply stared through him. Her lack of genuine joy, despite his overwhelming, magical allure, began to plague him more than his former unrequited longing. Tanemu had desired her presence, but he had received her prison. He had a wife, but he did not have her happiness. He realized the vanity of his wishes and knew he had one wish left to rectify this terrible, silent era. Chapter 7, The Third Wish. Tanemu spent a sleepless night beside his silent, beautiful bride. Aisha did not resist him, but she did not embrace him either. She moved with the weary compliance of someone fulfilling a religious obligation. He knew the genie's magic held her gaze and compelled her obedience, but it was not true love. He had risked everything, his livelihood, his reputation, and the stability of the village, for a beautiful automaton. The handsome face he had wished for felt like a mocking mask. He had become the new, younger version of the possessive husband he had sought to destroy. He quietly slipped away at dawn, finding the Jinn Malik waiting near the well, where their scandal had first begun. The god felt heavy in his hands, no longer a symbol of hope, but of profound regret. Malik, Tanemu said, his voice now imbued with a weary sincerity, I have used 2 wishes for vanity, and the result is misery for the one I claim to love. My third and final wish is not for myself, or for wealth, or power. My final wish is this, I wish for Aisha to be genuinely and completely happy, released from the compulsion of my charm and freed from the burden of this political marriage. Give her true autonomy and peace, even if that means she must leave me forever. The jinn smiled, a genuine, kind smile for the first time. A wish for another's true happiness. This is a wish of great cost, Tanemu. With a final, gentle swirl of turquoise smoke, the charm that had made Tanemu irresistible vanished, and the magic binding Aisha to the pact was dissolved. His handsome features reverted slightly, retaining a kind maturity, but losing the intoxicating allure. 2 wishes granted for selfishness, the last for grace. Chapter 8, The Farmer's Peace. As the turquoise smoke dissipated, Tanemu felt a sudden, profound lightness, a sensation of his own skin settling back into a comfortable familiarity. He returned to his hut, the anxiety in his gut a tangible knot. He found Aisha sitting exactly where he had left her, but her eyes held a clarity and focus they had lacked since their first union. Her gaze met his, no longer with compelled fascination, but with frank, appreciative recognition. Malam Tanemu, she said, her voice steady and her own. I thank you. The magic is gone. I realize now why I felt so drawn to you, and why I felt such misery while I was here. Tanemu explained the wishes, the jinn, and the realization that his final act had to be one of selfless freedom. He told her she was free to choose her own path. With the political pact broken and Alhaji Bawa's fraudulent claim nullified, Aisha was, for the first time, mistress of her own destiny. She did not choose to stay, she chose to travel north, using her noble status to secure resources to establish a massive, independent trading enterprise in the city. The greatest scandal in Kwanhila history ended not in tragedy, but in a quiet, mutually respectful divorce. Tanemu was left as a good, honest farmer, no longer cursed by overwhelming handsomeness, but with a peaceful, happy heart. He had achieved his goal from the title, using all 3 wishes to secure his own contentment, not through possession, but through profound sacrifice and the cultivation of kindness, ensuring Aisha found her true, independent happiness.